And so
Right.
when we understand, well, what is the ego then? The ego is nothing more than a veil that has covered itself over the Atma. And
Ah,
we have and it's made up of the warp and woof, the threads that make up this cloth of the concepts of I and mine. Every time you use the word I and mine, then you're operating from the level of the ego.
right, right, right.
Right. So now to get rid of that, it's a long journey of understanding that there are many facets to this process. But the simplest way is to try and remain in silence. So when you're at the hub of the wheel and you don't go down the spokes of the wheel which lead into the world, then that is the Atmic state. You're
Right.
embedded in that infinite, indivisible, supreme absolute. Now,
Mm.
those are terms that we're using, but it can be experienced by us. We can experience this Atmic state. And I'm sure we've all
Right.
experienced it every now and then when you absolutely become silent, you have no thoughts, you have no feelings, and everything feels absolutely beautiful and sublime.
Right. Right. So I'm just going to think about, I'd like you to answer this if you may. Uh, how can we now use spiritual intelligence for the betterment of mankind? Could we use it in some way? If we
Well,
want humanity to improve, can we use spiritual intelligence to help
yeah,
humanity?
spiritual intelligence is a powerful tool to be made available to mankind. It
Right,
is available because we all are spirit beings. We are Atmic in our nature. What we're trying to
right,
do is we're trying to unbundle and uncover the cloth that has fallen over this veil,
right.
over the
So,
Atma.
yeah, sorry for cutting in. Now, how can, okay, you and I understand that, right? Because our journeys on spirituality is similar in many regards. Now, the ordinary person in the street, how do we make them understand that they are spiritual beings on this human journey? How can we inform them in lay terms, in easy terms?
Well,
Is there a way?
spirituality comes with its own terminology because it is another state of awareness. It's another level of consciousness. But if
Right,
if
right.
we if we take the word consciousness, then contaminated consciousness is what we are living. We are contaminated
Ah,
at the emotional level. We are contaminated at the mental level. We're contaminated at the
right,
physical level. Now, when that
right.
contamination is eased out, it's plied out of our minds, then we
Mhm.
reach a state of amanaska, a state of having no mind, meaning without
Right,
modification. Now,
right,
the mind is able to contain about 90% of the atmic energy, and you can feel that power coursing through our bodies. Now,
right,
that is a very profound state that we can achieve. And,
right.
as long as we're experiencing the ups and downs of the emotions, we're
Yeah.
experiencing the ups and downs of the mental agitations, we cannot experience Atma.
Right,
For
right,
a layperson to approach this, he will have to examine and interrogate his emotional state. He will have to examine and interrogate his mental state. But this happens at various levels. Some people find it very quickly. They begin to understand, yes, this is a powerful thing. And bit by bit, they begin the decontamination process. So spirituality is really a decontamination process of the mind. It's a concept of the purification of consciousness. When
Mm,
consciousness is purified to its ultimate level, it's called Chitta Suddhi Yoga. Chitta meaning consciousness, Suddhi meaning to cleanse, and yoga meaning to unite. And so this Chitta Suddhi Yoga is a cleansing of the consciousness. Now, I'm sure that those who have attempted this consciousness cleansing haven't found it very easy. At times you can do different things that are called sadhanas. Sadhanas are spiritual exercises that you can engage in. And these are different for different people. Some people can use music as a way of decontaminating the mind of its emotional and mental state. Others can use repetition of a name of God, which has its own power in being able to deplete the mind and the emotions. We have many other techniques that are available. Every culture has some technique available, but they all are the purification of consciousness. That's how we understand it from the spiritual context, that you can use any number of different techniques, and you don't have to use all the techniques. You can choose one of them and stick with that. And if you stay with it, it will achieve its goal of purifying your consciousness. Now, as you purify the consciousness, what will happen? You'll begin to see things in a different light. You'll begin to experience things in a different light. You'll begin to feel different ways of love, of joy, of bliss. These are all things that you never experienced before when you were contaminated with your emotional and mental upheaval. So when we ask the question, how can we help a lay person to understand this? We start at the level of consciousness. So let's say consciousness is a jug of water. Right. And behind the jug, we have a picture of any God form. And this consciousness, which is clear in the beginning, becomes contaminated. We put in like different colored dyes into the water. Now the water becomes murky. It becomes contaminated. And now you can't see the God self. You can't see the Atma. You can't experience the Atma anymore. And how to cleanse that is a matter of using one of these techniques. It's like pouring a jug of clean water into this murky water. And as the murkiness floods out, it will get lighter and lighter and lighter until one day you're suddenly aware that, wait a minute, I am this Atma. Prior to that, you'll get episodic events that tell you that you are the Atma. Things like feelings of love, feelings of bliss, feelings of truth, of goodness, of beauty. All these are evidence that you are experiencing an Atmic state. And an Atmic state is that one where you disengage from the world. It's a very powerful state, and we've seen God men who do this. They walk amongst us, but they feel like they're not part of us. And suddenly they become part of your world, and they interact with you, and then they withdraw again. And that is the Atmic state. It's a state of unabated consciousness. It's an unabated stream of consciousness, pure consciousness, uncontaminated consciousness. But it's like you tuning into the master that is I could say you're tuning in to the God self.
Right.